And Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio joins me now. Congressman, thanks for joining us. You were a yes vote today.
Yeah.
The bill now goes to the Senate. I want to play you something that Senator John McCain, your party's 2008 nominee for president, told me just yesterday.
In the United States Senate, we will not repeal or defund Obamacare. We will not. And to think we can is not rational.
He's saying you're not rational, Congressman.
Well, I would just point out, Jake, there were a lot of Republicans just 2 weeks ago who said we were going to go to war with Syria, and today we're not. So look, when the American people get engaged, they have a way of making elected officials see the light, find the Lord, and do the right thing. This bill's the right thing. I mean, it funds the government. I don't see the Democrats introducing a bill that funds the government. This bill funds the government, and more importantly, it delays and stops a law everyone in the country, everyone knows is bad, including the president, who's delayed parts of it for big business, including James Hoffa, who's called this thing a law that's going to harm working Americans, change the work week. I mean, everyone knows this is bad.
It's just not accurate to say that everyone knows it's bad. I think the latest polling that CNN has, 42% or so of the American people approving of the law, and of the 51% who disapprove, 16% think that it isn't liberal enough. So actually, not only does not everyone agree with what you're saying,
Jake,
there are a majority of the country either likes the law or they think it's not liberal enough.
Jake, even you know this bill's not ready. You know this law's not ready. In Ohio, 7th largest state, 11 million people, our state law requires the navigators, the people who are supposed to go out and assist people signing up in the exchange, signing up for Obamacare. Not one single navigator has been licensed by the state insurance commissioner as required by Ohio law. Not one, and we are 10 days away from this thing starting. So everyone knows this thing isn't ready. Everyone knows this thing has problems. Even the folks you cite who say, oh, well, we want this thing to happen, they still know it's not ready. What's wrong with delaying a bill that even the president has delayed for big business? And Democrats like Howard Dean say it's going to lead to rationing of care. AFL-CIO just voted last week and said, hey, fix this thing or repeal it. Even the labor unions know this law is not ready.
Well, you're talking about, first of all, I don't know what you mean when you say even I know, but in terms of the details of the law, we can get into those. I agree with you that there are questions, and as you note, President Obama himself delayed one of the provisions, the employer mandate provision. But let me read something to you from Karl Rove, who wrote in the Wall Street Journal, quote, even the defund strategies authors say they don't want a government shutdown, but their approach means we'll get one. Going down that road would strengthen the president while alienating independents. It is an ill-conceived tactic, and Republicans should reject it. In actuality, what we're talking about here is a government shutdown. You are tying funding the government to defunding Obamacare. There are not the votes to support that in the Senate, and the president says he'll veto it. That means the government would shut down. Karl Rove says your party's going to be blamed.
Jake, have the Democrats introduced a bill to fund the government?
Not that I know of.
We have, right? They haven't. We have.
That's true.
Funds essential services and says this law, which is a big problem, which, in my words, everyone understands, that is a big problem and shouldn't be enacted. So we're the only ones who've introduced a bill to fund the government. Democrats, put up a bill. Tell us what you want to do. And we don't know. The people have a way of weighing in on these debates and changing the minds of politicians. I think there's guys in the Senate. I think there are senators who are going to find Jesus and do the right thing. We got 10 days to run this campaign. I don't know how it's going to play out.
I assume you're saying find Jesus in a metaphorical sense, not a literal sense.
Well, of course.
But 67%. Of the Senate would need to agree with you. 67 senators would need to agree with you because President Obama says he'll veto this. You need 67 votes to override it. That's just not going to happen. There just aren't 67 votes.
The president has threatened veto before, and we find things become law. The Senate, but back at the start of this session, we said if you don't do a budget, you won't get paid. A bill we passed, no budget, no pay, and the Senate said, oh, we're not for this, and somehow they decided, oh, you know what, we are for it, and they passed it. So they say that all the time. Let this play out. Let this debate happen. What's wrong with that? The House took a position today, bipartisan, I might add. There were some Democrats who supported this. Bipartisan bill, send it to the Senate, let the debate play out, let the American people weigh in. That's how our great form of government works. Let's let this play out and see what happens in 10 days. But what we do know happens in 10 days is Obamacare starts, and it is not ready.
Well, I have no issue with a debate taking place in the Senate, certainly. And you're right, there was a bipartisan vote in favor of defunding. There also was a bipartisan vote against defunding. One quick question for you, though. If Obamacare would be scrapped, where is the Republican health care plan to help all those uninsured Americans? And whatever happened to Republicans who thought that freeloaders, people who used emergency rooms as their primary care physician, putting the charge onto you and me and all your voters who have insurance, whatever happened to those individuals being held responsible and being required to have some sort of personal accountability?
We're all for personal accountability, Jake, and there's lots of things we can reform in our social welfare system that will actually help people in need but encourage more responsibility. I'd be glad to have that full debate. We have introduced a bill this week. House Republicans, Steve Scalise, and members of the Republican Study Committee, members not of the Republican Study Committee, have signed on to a bill with several doctors who are part of the House Republican Conference as co-sponsor of that legislation, which we think is a good alternative to this bill that has all kinds of problems and the American people know is not ready for enactment.
Congressman Jim Jordan, I'd love to have you on to talk more about this issue. I know you have to run back to your beautiful Buckeye state of Ohio. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you.